You've been convinced your voice is too small. You've had people tell you that you're not enough. But the truth, every whisper, every word carries further than you realize. Today, we begin a week about the ripple effect of your voice. I want you to really understand it. I want you to see it, feel it, and live in the space of knowing that your whisper is louder than you think. I'm so glad to have you here with us today. I do hope that you will drop live if you're live, or replay if you're watching on the replay. Let me know you're here. I want to engage with you. And thank you so much for who you are and you being here with me. My name is Steve Kidd. I'm a third-generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 books and counting. I've had the gloriously wonderful privilege of working with nearly 5,000 people, helping them become best-selling authors. Everything in the process: writing, publishing, marketing their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond that. But over the course of the whole last 40 years that I've been in marketing, what I really do is I really help you find the clarity of who you are so that you can then develop the message and say the things that you're meant to say in this world, to be the person that you're meant to be in this world. There's nobody like you. No one ever has been, and no one ever will be you. You are amazingly incredible. And I'm so honored to be here with you today as we talk about the loudness of your voice. More importantly, the ripple effect of what comes every time you use your voice. So I want to ask you a question, and I want to start with one of the things that we talked about a couple of days ago. We talked about going live and having you do the mirror work. Now, we're always talking about you going live, and this is completely separate to that. We do absolutely want you to join us in Visibility Amplifier community. It's visibilityamplifier.com. And that's a great place to share your mirror work. But what we're talking about in this particular case is you taking a few minutes sometime during the day and just looking in the mirror and talking to yourself and telling yourself something. Come up with a mantra, an affirmation, a positive statement, whatever you want to phrase it as. Come up with something that you're going to say every day. I want you to be committed to it for this whole month. As far as my content calendar goes, as far as everything we're doing in the company, one of the big things maybe you don't know is between both Willie J and I, we're big supporters of helping people with breast cancer. We did, all of Willie's books that he's putting out himself, Winning with Love, and what have you, are, for supporting breast cancer and breast cancer awareness. Our compilation book that we did, all of us together, that was Winning with Love. Never Stop Winning was his book, was Pink on Purpose, and all of the proceeds from that are going to breast cancer awareness. And there's been several songs that Willie's brought out that all that money is. And the new song that we're teasing you with and is on its way of coming out, Couldn't Imagine, all the proceeds of that as well are going to breast cancer awareness. And we want you to be part of that movement. And part of that comes from you joining in with us. Yes, go to visibilityamplifier.com and join that. But more so, we want you to begin to share and use your voice in two different, very important kind of ways. Number one, we want you to speak to the people clearly, consistently, to connect with the people that you're meant to serve in this world. There's this weird bump that's right here in my leg, and my chair hits it right there. I don't know what the deal is. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I just thought I'd share. Now you know what it's like to live inside of my brain. Yes, we want you to go live, be out in the community, call people on the phone, whatever. You need to be using your voice every day, speaking the words out loud. Okay. And the reason why I encourage going live is because the first set of ears that need to hear it are on the side of your head. Okay. You're going to need to spend a lot of hours you just saying it. Okay. But I also want you to know today, your whisper, your nobody's watching, 0 listens are actually reaching much, much, much further than than you'll ever know. Okay. Don't go looking at the analytics on whatever social media, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever, and be like, oh, this thing, it had, 2 views, it had 200 views. Number one, don't compare that to somebody else that's saying whatever vanity metric. Willie and I were talking about that afterwards on yesterday, I guess that was. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of those are bots, or people who are just popping in, that kind of thing. But even if it's legitimately 25, 30, 40, 50 million people that are watching a particular short, we're talking about shorts and reels in this particular case. And if we're not talking about, if we eliminate out all of those ones that have gone viral, that are people that are willing to do embarrassing, explicit, those kind of things, just to be able to get clicks and likes, not that. But, even when we compare ourselves to any of those people in that realm, we're doing ourselves a total disservice. We then begin to start categorizing ourselves as a whisper. I can't hear you. You probably can't hear my voice right now. You see my lips moving, but you can't see the words. Right? I don't know if you heard any of that or not. I don't know if my mic's up hot enough that, those whispers came across, or if you rewound and you're like, what's Steve saying in there? Okay. But it's actually a lot louder than you think. And it's making an impact. So the number one biggest piece, and like I said, that's one of the reasons why I encourage live, is because your ears need to hear it, and it's going to impact way more than you're ever going to know. Okay. But it could be being out in the world, saying thank you to the grocery store person, telling you how much you appreciate that cashier. Okay. Going through the drive-through and giving a tip to the little girl that's at Taco Bell, and have her just be totally dumbfounded, not know what to do with it. And I don't know whether she kept that money or didn't have any clue what to do with it. I have no clue. But it's those kind of things, okay? But you need to say the words, okay? Just handing her quietly money doesn't do it. It's impactful, don't get me wrong. And I'm totally into radical generosity. I wrote the whole book on it, right? But it's your mouth opening up and speaking the words of life and light and transformation and hope and promise and peace that needs to be done in this world. Okay, so that's the first part of it. The second part of it is we need to establish our brains, the direction that they're going. Okay, we need to be much clearer and much more specific about the words that are coming out of our mouth on purpose. And I'm not saying, hey, be all harsh and critical and judgmental of yourself. Not that at all. In fact, exactly the opposite of that. But by putting in a few little practices, we can begin to more and more say more and more the things. Okay? I went walking on the property that we've already claimed it as ours. Okay, we haven't put together any kind of deal. We don't have any paper on it. In fact, we're trying to arrange a time for Willie to come out and see it, so that the two of us, the business that we're building together, that is separate from the two businesses we have privately, which are still in place. So we're not going away in those angles either. But there's a bigger concept of Zaraz International and helping people be part of this thing that is going to change the world. And we're already looking at that property, and I was walking it today and praying and taking videos and sending them. I took all the videos and I sent them when I got back home, when I was on Wi-Fi, sent them to Willie. But you need to see what your mind can see and believe is what you'll achieve. I love it. It's been a lot of years since I heard, years ago that I heard Tony Robbins say this, although I'm sure he said it last week too. Your mind cannot distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what's real. Can't tell the difference. Okay. And unfortunately, what we use that for most of the time is vividly imagining the worst of everything. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if I go here? What if I, and we waste so many hours, weeks, days, months, years on vividly imagining things. And I hate to break it to you, bringing to pass those things, because what you focus on grows. And so we want to put a stop to that. And we do that by just little things. Now, on Friday, when I began to start talking about the concept of all of us as a community, any one of you and everybody in Visibility Amplifier community, visibilityamplifier.com. I know, shameless plug there. Anybody in that community that, we want you all to participate in every single day. Okay, and originally on Friday I said every morning, like when you're brushing your teeth or whatever, just take 5 seconds and do that thing. I'm not talking about something long. I'm not talking about having a soliloquy like I do every time I go live. It's not about like our lives. I'm talking about like a 5-second little thing. Like mine is, everything that has been promised is happening now. I think this morning I actually added in, is happening for you now. Right now. Now, it isn't something that's in the future. It's now. Okay. And I'm bringing my whole entire being into that. Okay. Now, originally I had said, do it first thing in the morning, do it all scraggly and whatever, and go live and do it. And, and I got some pushback from a couple of people on that, and I totally get it. Number one, so I know some of you, especially specifically looking in the mirror and smiling at yourself and doing it. And like this morning when I was doing it, I was like, where am I going to put the camera? Do I put it over here? Because we just have this little, and that's pretty much the only mirror that I have, here in this particular house. So the camera's, like partially blocking my face, like it does when I hold up my camera and tell you go live, so similar kind of thing. So, for some of you, the use, the actually going live into the mirror isn't going to work. Friend of mine actually suggested, Patricia actually, who you've seen on here several times, actually suggested the possibility of doing the mirror work when she's driving down the road and looking in the mirror at the beautiful scenery in the area that she lives by. That could be a way of doing it. Okay. I hope that, forget about the video part of it, that every day, sometime during the day, you will look in the mirror and you will say to you your positive affirmation. Okay, you need that. You absolutely, positively need that. You do, okay? And I hope that you will do that, okay? I hope, and my wish for you that would be that every one of you will do like I did. Just hit the live button. I did it just specifically on Facebook, and then Facebook asked me, do you want to turn this into a reel? And I made it a reel, which also popped it out onto my stories. Okay. I'll figure out if I can share it to Instagram or not. I don't even know if I can. I'm with all the things I know about social media, it's amazing sometimes some of the things that I have to, search around and figure out, how did I do that last time? But number one, most important, is you looking at yourself and your ears hearing your mouth and your eyes seeing you saying that thing. You need to reinforce that. Just one little thing. Pick one little phrase. Yesterday we were talking about, or maybe it was Friday. Might have been Friday. Judy was on live. We were talking about Judy's statement that she teaches her people. Something amazing is going to happen for me today. And you can pick any of those kind of things. Make up one of your own. Pick one that you have seen online. I am strong. I am powerful. I am a world changer. If you need help doing that, just drop me a DM and I'll gladly help you with that. And of course, we've got all kinds of cool clarity stuff that we do in Visibility Amplifier community. I know I'm dropping that a lot today, aren't I? Because your brain needs to be in the right place first so that you can embrace this whole thing that I started us off with about your whisper is louder than you think. The first person who has to believe it is you. You can scream from the top of the building, and if you don't believe people are hearing you, in fact, when it comes to actual screaming, most of the people that are ranting and raving and screaming, they're doing it because they don't feel heard. When you are confident in your message, you don't have to scream it at people. You can just say it. I was helping a friend of mine last night. They were going through a little bit of a situation. They were struggling with a message that they knew they needed to send to somebody, and they were trying to work out the right wording for it. And I was fortunate to get to help them with it. And what I helped them understand, and what I want you to understand is who you are and what you're meant to be. You don't have to apologize for that. You don't have to explain it. And you're not responsible for the reaction or the response of the person. That's theirs to deal with. And if they come back questioning it, wanting more info, you don't owe them anything. The answer just simply is. I love it. Jen Gaudet, look up her book. It's called The Art of Saying No, or The Art of No, I think is actually what it is. Jen Gaudet, it's Gaudet, all right? It's a very French type of a New Orleans kind of a word. And she talks about and goes further than, I mean, the first person I ever heard say it was Lisa Nichols, saying no is a full and complete and very, very good conversation. And Jen goes into great detail in her book, teaching people how to say no and being okay with, sometimes we just need to say no. Sometimes we just need to tell people, hey, no, I can't drive you to the airport. Doesn't mean that I don't love and care for you. It's just not something that I need to, that I have time to fit into my schedule. And we often find ourselves doing those crazy kind of things. I don't want to go much further down that rabbit hole. But you need to just have that confidence in your message, in your yes, your no, your words, your saying, your clarity. If you don't know, if you're like, man, I'm really struggling with exactly who I am and what I'm doing, that's where I come in to help you. Visibilityamplifier.com, and then drop me a message. Let's get you clear. Okay? It's going to start, number one, from you just doing the thing. That's where this daily affirmation, even more so than going live, is so powerful. Looking in the mirror and saying something positive and affirming to you. Dr. Noah St. John, in his book Affirmations, teaches the fact that your brain is just a great big processor. It's just a computer. And whatever you say to it, whatever question you say to it, whatever I am statement you tell it, it just takes it in. It's just a data set. Why am I XYZ? Why am I so incredible? Well, your brain's going to go, I don't know. Let me figure out, why are you so incredible? Let me give you all the reasons why you're so incredible. You could take the negative version of that. I've gone out of my way to begin to teach myself over the course of the last several years, actually, since the first time I heard Dr. Noah say that, to intentionally, even on lives, even giving you examples, not finish that sentence. Because my ears and my brain don't need to hear that. So that's the first place. And that's the way that your voice ripples. It may feel small. It may feel insignificant. But that little pebble of you saying to you and you beginning to transform you, that's the start. That's the rock falling in the water. You throw the rock in the water and it ripple effects out. Okay, that's what I'm talking about here. Just in case, that wasn't clear. It starts from you saying the thing about you. True humility is a right perspective of yourself. That means that you know what you're good at as well as what you're not good at. And you can just simply and clearly say them. When I'm doing my radio show and I do an audio edit and I boom hit exactly the post. When after I'm done recording, I'll be talking blah 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 blah. Post. For those of you that don't know, in radio language, that's where a person talks over the intro to the song and then shuts up right at the moment that the words come in or the really powerful part of the song comes in. But typically it's lyrics most of the time. Talk, 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 talk. Boom. And, kind of a deal. All right. And I'll often after I'm, I hit the stop button on the record part of that, I'll go, man, I'm amazing at that. When I splice together something, I'll tell myself, hey, you did a really great job at that. I need to be the first person that's encouraging me. When you put a post out, the very first thing you should do, I don't care what social media it is, very first thing you should do is give it a heart. Number one, the hearts have much, much, much more weight than the thumbs ups do. And number two, you need to love on yourself. You need to be the very first heart on every single post that you do. You'll notice on these lives, when I go live, when I invite the people, before I invite the people, the first thing I do is give myself a heart. If you don't like your stuff, why should anybody else? So I want to honor, because it is Sunday, I want to honor the sacred truth that your words don't stop at your lips. They do energetically move out throughout the whole world. I'm going to go deep here for you for a couple of minutes. Okay, you see, and I'm even going to sit back a little bit, okay? I want to give some space, some room for this to breathe on purpose. I'm very much empathically intuiting my way through somebody that I know that's going to hear this, and they need to hear this. When you say something, okay, I'm going to go a little deep, just technologically, if you will, for a second. Okay, when you say a word, it creates what's known as a sound wave. Okay, you can see it on an oscilloscope, and it's that wavy pattern. Okay, ears hear they vibrate. Your eardrum, that's what it's doing, is it's vibrating. Okay, a speaker, the way that a speaker works is there's what's called a cone and a magnet. The magnet is for essentially turning on and off and vibrating that cone to create that sound wave. Now I'm talking analog. Analog meaning that it's the actual sound wave versus digital, which would be essentially a recording. That's a very, very simplified way of explaining digital, but it's the electronicized, I know that's not a word, version of a sound wave is the difference between digital and analog. But in analog, which it's going to, at some point, all digital audio goes back to analog. If only at the very last step, which is your eardrum, which is totally an analog device. It is the ultimate, literally, eardrum vibrating back and forth. Now, I know that was a little deep and a little bit technical, but I needed you to understand that because I want you to understand all of the energy that is in your words. You say something good. That creates a sound wave. Sound waves don't stop at walls. They do sometimes bounce off of walls. But if you ever walked by a house and heard somebody's TV or their stereo, you know what? I'll give you an even better example. Okay, you're driving down the road. You got the windows down in the car. and you can hear the person next to you's radio, all the windows are up, and you can still hear the radio? Because sound waves don't stop at walls. In fact, the walls begin to vibrate. And yes, there is a reflective element of it. There's, and again, I'm trying not to be too overly audio technically with you, but there's an absorption factor, there's a ricochet factor, but there's also just that energetic. Okay? Technically, the room that you live in, your house, your office, it is a combination of it, literally the walls, this wall here, okay? Also, on top of everything else, the paint, the drywall, the wood, it's also a receptacle that has received the energetic vibrations of every word that I've said, that others that have been in this room have said, that my uncle who owned this house for 20 years have said, that the people who owned this house, they're all there. The very rocks, the gravel in my driveway, the rocks you walk by, the big stone ones, the bricks that are the outside of your building, they are collecting all that energy. There's a basic principle of physics. Again, I'm trying not to go too deep to you, but I want you to really hear and understand this on a deep level. Energy is never created nor destroyed. It just simply changes. When you put that out, that ripple wave is creation. You didn't know you were a creator. Maybe you did. Every time you speak, you are literally, some of you're going to be totally excited about this because you're, really into that co-creator, that kind of creation thing, empowering yourself. Take it in this particular case, because every time you say, every word you say, you are literally creating energy. I know I just said the basic principle of physics is energy is never created or destroyed. It's only just morphed. I'm kind of disagreeing with that a little bit, but, let's move on. You got to think of every word that comes out of your mouth as a creation of energy, a creation of that sound wave that's going to move to the wall and bounce off. It's going to move to your ears and be stored in your brain. It's going to move through the walls and out into the universe. It's going to literally go across the whole entirety of the world. That's why, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, SETI, has been for decades sending out transmissions and listening for responses, because they know that when you broadcast a sound out into the, like if you put it on a television antenna, satellite beamed down to a satellite dish, it's not just your satellite dish that picks it up. That signal is moving through all of ever. And they know that doesn't ever really actually die out. I mean, the decibel level, in other words, the capability for you to be able to hear it, dies off. Okay? If I say this word that I'm saying right now, and you're standing on the other side of my town, let alone if you're on the other side of the planet right now, you're not going to be able to just strain and be like, yep, now I can hear Steve talking. That doesn't make the energy and the vibrational pattern that's created by that word, doesn't make it go away. It may drop it below your hearing range. That's why, sometimes your dog barks or whines at things that you don't hear at all, because they have a different hearing. That's why when you start talking about bats and some of those sonar receptive animals, or fish in the sea, that, the things have massive impact on them. Your words move so much further than just beyond your lips or just to your ears or just to the wall or the microphone in front of you or those kind of things. It moves through rooms, through people, not just to people. I want you to hear and understand that your words aren't just moving to the people you're speaking to, whether they're digitized and going on the internet and coming out of a speaker to you, or they're in the same room with you. They don't just move to the person, they literally move through the person. The energy of that moves through them. And it literally goes through time. If we had the capability, and we don't have it, and we may never develop it, but if we had the capability, technically every word that's ever been spoken in the space that you are currently occupying, well, that's actually understated. Every word that's ever been spoken everywhere throughout the entirety of the entire universe, whether there's just only people on planet Earth or there's trillions of people all over the world, okay? We're not even getting into that. Every single one of those words still exists. It still is making an impact. It may be so low, below frequency ability that we may never develop anything that could extract all of it. Not to mention the fact that, more and more and more it's going to get jumbled. I don't care how long you want to say the universe has existed. You can go 6,000, 11,000. You can go, 20 million. You can go several billion. I don't care. There's going to be a jumble of noises and sounds and words and stuff. And they never go away. They actually always are and always will exist. Now, when we think about that, even when we're talking softly, the compound rippled effect. And just like when you throw a great big rock in the water, the first splash is giant and the first ring of the ripple is big. And by the time it reaches the edge of the pond, the lake, the ocean, if you're talking the ocean and you dropped it right smack dab in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, it actually has an impact on both the Asian beaches and the U.S. West Coast beaches and South America and blah, blah, all of that. It literally expands across the vibrational energy of that spans across the whole entire ocean. It just, the energy of it may be smaller than we can detect. But your whisper, it's louder. It's making more of an impact. It's making the impact on your ears. You believe all the things that you believe more than anything because you've heard you say it. Yeah, most of those things, they came from somebody else. You heard it from a teacher in school. Your parents told you it. You heard it in church. You read it in a book, whatever. The words came from someplace else. But that, for example, abuser that talked really horrible things about you, and maybe still is, or maybe has completely even forgotten you, what have you. Those words still resonate in your head because you're still regurgitating them. You're repeating them. You're saying them. Your words have so much power, so much impact. And the ripple that's created every time you say that thing. That's why I'm so huge on we absolutely need to do this every single day. Just 5 seconds, just something positive. Look, I encourage you, look in the mirror. I would love it if you would record it and post it in the group or on your page and tag us or share it to the group. But even if you just do it yourself, and even if you just send me a DM and say, hey, I did that again today, because I'd love to celebrate with you. And even if you don't tell me, I'm not the center of the universe. I just want to celebrate you. Do it because in your universe, you are the center of the universe. And you need that. You need the big rock dropped in. And the big drop may be that softest whisper. And it may be that 5-second affirmation, but you need to do it. You need to do it today. You need to do it tomorrow. It's not too late. Do it the last 5 seconds before you go to bed. And if you're listening to this on the replay and it's 5 years from now, just do it today. You're not behind. You're just exactly right on time for exactly the message you needed to hear right here, right now, today. Your whisper is louder than you think. Do come and join us in the Visibility Amplifier community. If you go to visibilityamplifier.com, it's a free group. Come join us. We're going to help you get clear so that you can consistently connect. You can consistently say the words that you want to be putting out into the world rather than the words that all too often we have been putting out into the words. And celebrate that with you. Visibilityamplifier.com. I hope you'll do it. I'm so glad to have got to spend some time with you. So delighted to know you, have you in my world. Anything I can do to help you, I'm here for you. I want you to be clear, have that clarity. Consistently be saying and doing the things that you're meant to do, and connect with the people that you're meant to work with, to serve, to help, to have in your life. And be the powerfully amazing you that is you. So that you can be, and you can confess in your life, I am happy, safe, warm, and loved, and have it be real. We're going to get back together again tomorrow. I do these lives every day. I'm here. I'm excited to do them with you. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the ripple you'll never see. We talked a little bit about that today, but we're going to go even deeper into it tomorrow. I'm so grateful for you. Until we're together again next time, I hope you have a great week.